Welcome to this Department of Education event to introduce the final Part B regulations implementing the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. I'm Alexa Posny, Director of the Office of Special Education Programs, or OSEP, and I'd like to share with you some specifics about the regulations. This video has three purposes: to publicize the final regulations implementing Part B of IDEA 2004, to give viewers a preview of the many resources that OSEP is developing to help them implement the regulations, and to answer some questions that have been raised regarding the regulations. You've just heard comments from John Hager, Assistant Secretary for the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, about the release of the final regulations. This event offers us an opportunity to acknowledge the work of a lot of individuals and groups, and to talk about the technical assistance and support that is being provided to support the implementation of the regulations. The regulations are very important for children with disabilities and their families, and as John pointed out, we're excited to shift from concentrating on getting the regulations out in final form to realizing their potential through implementation. John also mentioned that the regulations have been restructured. Specifically, the package is divided into three main parts. The first part, or preamble, which is nearly 70% of the package, does two main things. First, it summarizes the major changes in the final regulations from the proposed that we published in June 2005. Second, it includes the analysis of comments and changes from the department's analysis of the more than 5,500 comments received. In this section, we explain the department's position on key policy questions. The preamble also includes a summary of the department's analysis of potential costs and benefits of the regulations. The second part is the actual text of the regulations itself. This part covers less than 1/4 of the entire package. These are the actual requirements for special education and related services for children with disabilities that apply to all states receiving IDEA Part B funding. Finally, the remainder of the regulation package is a series of appendices that provide tools for implementation and use of the regulations. These appendices include an explanation and example of how to calculate excess costs, an explanation and example of how to calculate the proportionate share for children with disabilities whose parents have placed them in private school. It also includes the National Instructional Materials Accessibility Standard, or NIMAS, as well as an explanation of the interconnection between the local maintenance of effort reduction provision and early intervening services. And finally, an updated index for the entire text of the Part B regulations. In addition, we've posted on our website at idea.ed.gov model forms for individualized education programs, or IEPs, procedural safeguards notices, and prior written notices. These forms describe the minimum content that is needed to comply with the regulatory requirements. The issues that received the most comments were highly qualified teacher requirements, private school provisions for parentally placed children with disabilities, and identification of children with specific learning disabilities. The Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, or NPRM, addressed the highly qualified teacher requirements that were added to IDEA in its reauthorization. The NPRM specified that special education teachers who do not teach core academic subjects are highly qualified if they obtain state certification or licensure in special education and hold a bachelor's degree. However, special education teachers who teach core academic subjects must demonstrate subject matter competency in the areas they teach. The NPRM also addressed requirements for special education teachers who teach core academic subjects exclusively to children assessed against alternate achievement standards, and new special education teachers who teach multiple subjects and are already highly qualified in mathematics, language arts, or science. Additionally, the NPRM provided for alternative routes to certification to address the existing shortage of special education teachers. The final regulations provide several refinements to these policies to clarify how special education teachers can be considered highly qualified and to more closely align the IDEA highly qualified special education teacher requirements with those requirements in NCLB. As I mentioned previously, Under the revised IDEA, the local education agency, or LEA, in which the private school is located, is responsible for finding, evaluating, and providing equitable services to children with disabilities who are enrolled in private schools by their parents, regardless of where the parents live. This is a significant policy shift from the previous requirement that the district where the child's parents live was responsible for finding and evaluating eligible children and for providing equitable services to children with disabilities enrolled by their parents in private schools. With this change, a private school has to deal with only one school district, the district where it's located. This same rule applies when children with disabilities are placed by parents in private schools located in a different state than the one in which they live. Finally, the other major area to receive comments was related to children with specific learning disabilities. The NPRM specified that state educational agencies must set criteria for LEAs to use in determining whether a child has a specific learning disability. The final rule clarifies the criteria for identifying a child with a specific learning disability. The final regulations state that the criteria adopted by the state must not require the use of a severe discrepancy between intellectual ability and achievement for determining whether a child has a specific learning disability. The state's criteria also must permit the use of a process based on the child's response to scientific research-based intervention. In addition, the criteria may permit the use of other alternative research-based procedures for determining whether a child has a specific learning disability. Requirements have also been added to ensure that parents are informed of their child's progress and of their right to request an evaluation for special education services at any time. We made changes to respond to public comments. However, we did not identify a specific model regarding the response to scientifically based intervention for states to use. There are many different scientifically based models currently in use, and such decisions are really best left to states. Nor did we include a specific length of time that a child should be involved in such a process before a referral is made to special education. This is because the time may vary, depending on the model that is being used. OSEP is currently working on technical assistance documents and other activities that will help states and LEAs implement a process for measuring a child's response to scientifically based intervention. While I don't have time to cover all of the issues that are addressed in the final regulations, we will answer more specific questions that we've received in the last segment of this video. We believe that this regulatory package offers technical assistance and guidance to ensure a high-quality education for all children with disabilities. We'll be talking specifically about those resources in the next segment of the video as everyone is taken on a tour of the new IDEA 2004 website.